Hey, afternoon everybody. March 14th, 2023. This is Marcel with Irnieracing. I'm making videos on Rumble now. I finally got so tired of dealing with YouTube and their strikes and censorship and deplatforming. It just goes around in circles. So if you're not on the Irnieracing Rumble, make sure you get there. This video is going directly to Rumble. And let's do the news. I'm going to do the news today, and we're just going to go over a few subjects, okay, as I have my latte. Now, just hit over 7,000 subscribers on Rumble, which is great because 2 days ago I was at 6.9 thousand, which has been stalled out for like the last year or two. So let's kick it off. Let's try to get everybody moved over to Rumble, and we don't even have to sign into YouTube anymore, okay, guys? So, in today's news, Switzerland's President Alain Berset will not send weapons to Ukraine. So, another nation not sending weapons to Ukraine, and so Switzerland is still neutral, and that Swiss weapons will not be used in war. Meta, or Facebook, you know, we all don't like Facebook or Zuckerberg. If you're in the know, well, you know, they're set to begin their second round of layoffs on Wednesday. So that's tomorrow. So get off Facebook, guys. The only reason I have a Facebook account, so don't send me a friend request. I get so many friend requests. I'm not accepting friends. I don't want to use the platform. I'm only there for marketplace because I like to buy used motorcycles, and I'm looking for, you know, toys and things to spend money on before money is worthless. And we'll talk about gold soon enough. So Uber and Lyft won a court case in California that will allow the companies to keep drivers on as independent contractors. So I know they've been in this battle here for, it feels like, 2 years, where they were trying to end you make employees, and then you have to pay your employees and have benefits, and that really takes down business, makes it harder for business, you know, to be able to fund all your employees consistently. You are funding their livings, their livelihoods. So Pfizer has bought Seagen, you know, or they're in the process of buying. They've agreed to buy Seagen, Seagen, a biotech company that specializes in cancer drugs for $43 billion, guys. Crazy. I'm sure that's going to be great for everybody. So just today, gold dropped 0.51%. However, over the weekend, with the banking crisis, you know, the two main large banks that dropped down in the $42 billion range on their bank runs. So on Friday, gold just skyrocketed, and Saturday and Sunday. So it just went up like a freaking little tidal wave, gaining around maybe $90 per ounce. I think it went from up to like a 1911, but before that it was at like 1830. So as the banking system, the controlled demolition, I like to call it, if you haven't researched the banking collapse to bring in the central digital currency, it seems very likely that this is a controlled demolition. There's a reason the feds, the Bidens, didn't actually help the bank when they could have. You know, these banks are actually buying bonds from the USA, from the government. They're buying these bonds, these money bonds, and now with the inflation, the bonds are actually worth less than what they paid for it. And so in the history, the government's always helped companies, you know, whether it's the automakers, etc. But they chose to just do nothing, and no regulatory bodies are watching out for these woke banks. And it's really funny that they're guaranteeing everybody who had money in the bank, they're guaranteeing their money, and a bailout for the money. And then the big four banks, you know, you got the Chase, etc., those big four, the JP Morgans, they are actually just going to take ownership of all these little banks for $1. And so what's that doing is they're monopolizing the market. So when the four big banks control the majority of the market, a monopoly like Microsoft, Bill Gates tried to do or did, and then they can bring in their own set of rules. And what are you going to do? We're the only place with money, right? And of course, just today, Bitcoin jumped up 10.53%, and we'll get into that soon. So onto the banking. President Biden spoke on Monday. That was just yesterday. I posted up the video on Rumble if you haven't seen it. And I did a story with Tucker Carlson about the two major U.S. banks' failures, saying that Americans can be assured that their money is safe. Yet he didn't answer any questions. As soon as he finished his little speech saying the banking system is safe, we're gonna pay everybody their money, don't worry. Oh, and it doesn't come out of your taxes, don't worry. The Fed's money is not actual tax money. He just walked off slowly and tried to figure out the door handle, and got out of there slowly, like Magoo. The Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank both received emergency lending to guarantee all depositors could retrieve their funds. The UK government stepped in to help, arranging the HSBC to purchase the British arm of SVB for a symbolic €1. See, that's what I'm talking about. Guaranteeing all depositors. So when I look at my local bank here, we got banks in Canada, we got your Toronto Dominion, we got our credit unions. I looked up, and the bank's guarantee, it's the CDIC or whatever it's called, it guarantees up to $100,000. That's it, $100,000. So if you have $120,000 invested in GICs, or just in a savings account, or just in your bank account, you're not insured for over $100,000. And then there's also a provincial system. The credit unions use a provincial system, which actually could be higher than 100,000. It could be completely backed up to indefinite amounts. Also, I noticed on like a company like TD, they're stating that, well, it's 100,000 per account, 100,000 for say your GIC or your TFSA or your RSP or your savings account, but between them, all of them, it's 250,000 total between all of your accounts. And it doesn't matter if you have multiple people on account, joint accounts, 5 people on accounts, it's still $100,000 per that account. Yet here you have Biden saying, well, you're completely covered. So again, they're just moving everybody's millions and possible billions of dollars from certain people who have $1 billion in this woke Signature or Silicon Valley Bank, and they're moving them to the big banks, so then the big banks can manage their money and have more control and more say, and then input the digital central currency. The central digital currency. So that's what I see is happening. I think it's kind of a controlled demolition, false flag, etc. Because he's not, when asked Biden, like, what? So why? Why did the banks collapse? So what happened? He didn't answer any questions. He walked off the stage. There's no answers for anything. Let's take a pause, have a drink. So, as many might expect, the U.S. stocks took a dive on Monday and may continue today when the February inflation numbers are announced. What is the inflation numbers? Again, it's all bullshit inflation numbers. They say 6% inflation, but it's really 20, 25. If you start to look at the old system of how they compared, here's a piece of steak. Here's a tire for your car. Here's a hammer. And they don't use that system anymore. I'm just kind of make-believing because I don't actually know the details, but I know there's 2 CPI systems. Some lawmakers, censorship 101, some lawmakers called this market failure a Twitter-fueled bank run. Again, they're always attacking free speech, and Twitter now, that is a free speech platform, thanks to Elon Musk. Thank God there's Elon Musk in this world. Some people say he's a controlled whatever. I don't believe he's a controlled opposition. He's certainly not controlled opposition like our conservatives in Canada. And the leader of the conservatives, Pierre Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre. Essentially, he is the Pierre Trudeau. And, calling the Queen of Freedom, Christine Anderson, vile and racist, unfounded, by the way, because she's opposed to mass open immigration, which means there's just no control measures. There should be we have immigration controls in Canada. We can't just have people coming over rocks and border illegally. They must go through the proper channel to make sure we can afford to house and feed, and that some of them can actually get jobs and function in a society. And in Germany, they had a million immigrants, and it's just out of control. I mean, the country's 82 million, and you have 1 million every year. You think you can keep up with that? And then, who's to say what people are criminals and not criminals? And it has nothing to do with divisions of of lines that they make believe, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the words. The division of, they just create division based on ethnic and racist guidelines. Okay, we're not getting into that. It's bullshit. It's more prevalent today than ever because they've actually break us up into these demographics on purpose. When really, when you walk around and do your regular life, you'd have no notice of it. You're not going to notice race, religion. You don't notice it. Now they've created a division based on political division. So now conservatives and liberals, they can't get along. They're creating division. Okay, I'm off topic. Let's go. Okay, so journalist Michael Stellenberger reported that Arizona Senator Mark Kelly called for social media censorship to prevent a run on the banks. What a bitch. Representative Lauren Boebert said the Biden Undersecretary of Treasury Nellie Leung asked about reaching out to Twitter and Facebook to monitor information and bad actors. Wow, where have we heard that before? COVID-19 bullshit. So, like, imagine the powers that could be flexed to prevent you from knowing about a financial crisis and acting in your own self-interest to withdraw your own money. That should not sit well with anyone. Hey guys, sorry to cut myself off there, but there's another 15 or whatever minutes left of this news, the Irnieracing Daily, or you could call it Coffee with Marcel. So I'm going to be doing this news every day, going exclusively on Rumble, and in the meantime I'll put a snippet up on YouTube and try to help people transition over to Rumble where there's no censorship and no bullshit. So make sure you get over to Rumble. And this is the first daily video. That's what it looks like, guys, here on Rumble. Okay. And if you're on Rumble and you have a hard time following me, if you just type in Irnieracing in the search box and hit enter, it'll bring you to the channel and you'll see a bunch of videos lined up, right? And then, just go to the channel. It's that simple. Okay. The URL is rumble.com/user/Irnieracing, guys. Yep.